After a successful anti-COVID immunization campaign, 10th to 12th grade students, as well as those in technical professional learning and teaching school undergrads, returned to classes on Monday in Cuba. At least 900,000 doses of the Cuban Abdala vaccine arrived in Venezuela. And nearly 3 terabytes of the data on the wealthy elite of over 200 countries and territories from 11.9 million records on 14 different offshore services firms have been revealed as the Pandora papers. From the headquarters of Terrestrial English in Havana, this is from the South. I'm Ray Gomez. After a successful immunization campaign and with projections headed towards a decrease in the curve of COVID-19 infections, 10th to 12th grade students, as well as those in technical professional learning and teaching school undergrads, returned to classes on Monday in Cuba. The preparation process of the teachers, the maintenance of infrastructure, and the immunization of the students are the conditions certified by Cuban authorities that made possible the reopening of schools along the country. The 84,000 students that arrived today to the classrooms compose only the 5% of the scholar population, which will be gradually reinstated in the upcoming month of November as part of current academic year. Haitian authorities also announced the start of classes on Monday in some regions of the country. However, a larger number of schools are still destroyed after the last earthquake. The evaluations carried out by Haitian institutions and international organizations revealed that nearly 3/4 of the schools were damaged or totally destroyed by the earthquake. And the government has not yet had time to rebuild or solve the infrastructure problems to receive the students. Teachers and social organizations assure it is not safe to return to the classrooms. After more than 2,000 Haitian migrants were repatriated by mutual agreement from Mexico, another number of close to 8,000 nationals of the Caribbean nation who were trying to cross the northern border in order to settle in the United States have been returned to Mexican territory. Over 500 Haitians have settled temporarily in Ciudad Acuña in the Mexican state of Coahuila, where they say they feel calm and safe instead of continuing to risk their health and safety to enter the United States. There, they are awaiting the arrival of members of the Mexican Committee for Refugee Aid and the National Center for Human Rights to regularize their situation. During the last few weeks, hundreds of Haitian migrants have been crossing the Bravo River between Acuña and the Rio Cities in Texas border territory. The U.S. border authorities have brutally expelled those migrants. Cuban authorities prioritize the care of Haitian migrants who accidentally arrived on its shores on their way to the United States or the Bahamas. They guarantee lodging, food, and medical assistance in authorized camps. 421 people arrived at the Cuban coast in the eastern areas of Baracoa and Maici in precarious boats and at risk of their lives. Once the migrants were received in the facilities, and they have been attempted to identify possible illnesses such as HIV, malaria, or COVID-19. The Cuban authorities are in close contact with the Haitian government and are making arrangements for the safe and voluntary return of the migrants in accordance with the ties of brotherhood, cooperation, and solidarity that characterize the bilateral relationship.
Samples are taken to test for diseases such as HIV, malaria, hepatitis. Samples are also taken for PCR and anti-malarial treatment is started. There are also 8-week pregnant women and they are being given anti-anemia treatment.
The migrants who are cared for express their gratitude for the gestures of solidarity. They also express their hope of being able to study and make a life in Cuba someday.
And then I want to come to Cuba to study and live here. I want to study medicine to take care of people. The world counts on Cuba because it is the best country in the world because Cuba helps both those who have and those who don't. I want to spend 2 years in Haiti and then I want to come to Cuba to study and live here. I want to study medicine to take care of people.
President Nicolas Maduro announced on Sunday that at least 900,000 doses of the Cuban Abdala vaccine arrived in Venezuela. The head of state expressed his gratitude to Cuba for this gesture in benefit of the Venezuelan people. The mandatory also announced that the return to on-site classes for different educational levels would begin on October 25 with the Venezuelan method 7+7. In this context, President Maduro informed that 2 anti-COVID vaccines for children under 2 years of age are being evaluated in Venezuela.
Abdala vaccine for boys and girls is already in successful trial, a successful test, a point in favor of Cuban science and in favor of the Cuban Revolution, of the Abdala vaccine. I want to thank President Miguel Diaz-Canel of Cuba for sending these 900,000 Abdala vaccines to Venezuela.
Authorities in California's beachfront Orange County cities scrambled to mitigate the fallout from a major oil spill off the coast that caused substantial ecological impacts. As of Sunday, the oil spill of post-production crude was an estimated 10 kilometers long and stretched along popular shorelines of Huntington and Newport beaches. Residents were warned to steer clear of the shoreline, and the ocean was close to swimming and surfing due to potential contamination. The Coast Guard did not clear on what caused the spill, but it appeared to be a pipeline bridge connected to an oil rig offshore. An investigation has been launched into the incident. The eruption of the Cumbre Vieja volcano in the Spanish island of La Palma continues. The National Geographical Institute in Madrid informed that on Monday there were a series of earthquakes of a magnitude over 3.0 in Fuencaliente de La Palma and Villa del Mazo. Overnight, the volcano Cumbre Vieja had an increase in activity and expanded into an area of 4 square kilometers in the island. However, basic services operate in complete normality, and all flights to the airports in the Canary Islands have been fully reestablished. We'll be right back after this very short break. Welcome back. On Sunday, the International Consortium of Investigative Journalism revealed that they compiled and analyzed nearly 3 terabytes of data on the wealthy elite of over 200 countries and territories compiled from 11.9 million records and 14 different offshore services firms.
The Pandora papers include 330 politicians, 134 billionaires, celebrities, fraudsters, drug dealers, royal family members, leaders of religious groups around the world, and the alarming but not surprising figure of 35 current and former country leaders. Among them, the presidents of Ukraine, Kenya, and the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, as well as former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. A prior project, the Panama Papers, revealed similar information, but this time the data compiling goes back to the 1970s, and a large part comprehends 1996 to 2020 operations. According to the research team, the listed states and properties are not necessarily illegal, but its tax value was significantly downplayed to evade about $11.3 trillion in payments. The assets, from luxury items such as property and yachts, as well as incognito bank accounts, art ranging from looted Cambodian antiquities to paintings by Picasso and murals by Banksy, were hidden in tax havens listed like Panama, Dubai, Monaco, Switzerland, and the Cayman Islands. Out of the 35 presidents involved in the matter, 14 are Latin American, as the list includes heads of states as Ecuador's Guillermo Lasso, Chile's Sebastián Piñera, and Dominican Republic's Luis Abinader. These inner workings reveal an under-the-shadows economy that controls the common. So maybe we should not say tax the rich, but justice for the poor.
Latin American presidents and former mandatories have already made pronouncements disassociating themselves from the accusations that link them with non-transparent procedures regarding their personal and family finances. The Chilean government issued a communique stating that investigation into the sale of the Minga Mining Company found no crime and that President Sebastián Piñera never participated in the operation. Meanwhile, the government of the Dominican Republic emphasized that President Luis Abinader has been transparent before his country and recalled that in his sworn statement of assets. He includes his family's offshore companies, which are managed under trust. President Guillermo Lasso pointed out that he had not only collaborated with the investigation, but also that he has complied with his tax obligations in Ecuador. And former President of Colombia, Cesar Gaviria, admitted that he did have a stake in an offshore company in Panama, which has been declared to the National Tax and Customs Department in accordance with the requirements of Colombian law. The investigation involves the Spanish royal house. These revelations are added to the scandal of the emeritus king, Juan Carlos de Borbón, and his close friend Corina Larsen in the plot about the collection of commissions in the relationship between the Spanish royal house and the Saudi royal family. According to documents revealed, the German commission agent would have given instructions to transfer, in case of death, to the monarch 30% of the Hispanic Saudi fund that Juan Carlos sponsored by the time he was head of state. The commissions amounted to 65 million euros in 2008, and in 2012 he transferred them to Corina Larsen. Other members of the House of Bourbon also appear in the investigation. The files also include documents showing how King Abdullah II of Jordan created at least 30 offshore companies in countries or territories with tax facilities. Through these companies, at least 14 real estate properties in the United States and the United Kingdom were acquired, valued at over $66 million. The monarch's lawyers declared that the mansions were purchased with his personal fortune. And once again, members of the family of former Argentinian President Mauricio Macri and close political associates are involved in a case of corruption, this time in the Pandora papers. The leaks showed accounts in tax havens which belonged to Jaime Duran Barba, the political advisor of the former head of state, and his brother Mariano Macri. Recently, the former president made the headlines of Argentina's media, claiming that in that country, one had to avoid taxes to make money. Survivors of the 2013 shipwreck joined residents of the tiny Italian island of Lampedusa in an anniversary ceremony to honor the 368 people who died. Participants in the memorial tossed flowers into the waters of Lampedusa. The shipwreck is one of the Mediterranean's more deadly migrant tragedies. Many of the dead in the October 3, 2013 accident were Eritreans and Ethiopians. They were trapped in the boat when it overturned or drowned trying to swim ashore. Even as the dead were remembered, Italian Coast Guard boats were bringing ashore some of the more than 800 migrants rescued since last Saturday from more than a dozen boats in the Mediterranean Sea.
We are throwing the flowers in the sea to say, at least for one day, we are with them. We are with the relative who they are still waiting for a phone call to hear, "Mother, I did not make it. Father, I did not make it." Many are waiting for phone calls that will never happen. There are relatives who come here who still hope to find someone.
Yeah, I'm not coming for holiday. I'm coming with 3 o'clock. I will see my brother, my sister. Is here in the boat. It's that. I'm coming to see. That is.
Do you feel closer to them here?
Yeah. Yes.
We have more stories coming up after this financial break. Welcome back. On Sunday, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas received an official delegation from Israel. It is the second meeting between the Palestinian president and representatives of the new Zionist government. At the presidential headquarters in Ramallah, Abbas met with Nitzan Horowitz and Isawi Freji, ministers of health and regional cooperation, respectively. They stressed the importance of ending the Israeli occupation and achieving a just and comprehensive peace in accordance with international resolutions. The members of the Israeli Commission, all of whom belong to the left-wing Meretz party, have been harshly criticized by the extreme right in Tel Aviv for their support for the creation of an independent Palestinian state and the need to rebuild trust between the parties. President Abbas stressed the importance of ending Jewish settlements and the expulsion of the Palestinian families in Jerusalem. On Monday, the governments of North and South Korea agreed to reestablish their direct lines of communication, which had been interrupted for 55 days. At 9 a.m. local time, communications are resumed with a call through a military hotline and separate channel of the Joint Liaison Office. The South Korean Ministry of Unification said that the reconnection represents a breakthrough in bringing communications between the two Koreas back on track. Meanwhile, Pyongyang called on Seoul to make positive efforts to put the ties between both countries on the right track after being abruptly interrupted by the United States' decision to schedule combined military exercises on South Korean territory. 268 peacekeeping engineering detachment members of the 11th batch of the Chinese peacekeepers perform a mission in South Sudan's northwestern region of Wau were honored with the United Nations Medal. UN officials expressed their warm congratulations to the Chinese peacekeeping forces via a video link. During the mission, the engineering detachment has successfully completed a variety of tasks such as road construction, bridge repairs, and humanitarian relief since it was stationed in the mission area in November 2020. It has won high praises from local people and UN departments. 63 members were mainly responsible for the rescue, evacuation, sanitation, and epidemic prevention of the wounded and the sick. And the newly elected leader of Japan's Liberal Democratic Party, Fumio Kishida, took office as Prime Minister on Monday. His new government aims to promote economic recovery while keeping COVID-19 infections under control. Local media reported that the new leader plans to dissolve the House of Representatives on October 14th, and consequently a general election is likely to be held on November 7th. Kishida has promised to increase middle-class incomes and reduce wealth disparity, which is viewed as a break from the policies that the Japanese government has pursued over the past 2 decades. In addition, the diplomat said that an economic package is in preparation to help people and businesses suffering from the COVID-19 pandemic. His predecessor, Yoshihide Suga, announced not to seek a re-election last month amid the public dissatisfaction with his COVID-19 response. We've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at Telesur English. You can also follow us on social media for all the latest news. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For Telesur English, I'm Barry Gomez. Thank you for watching.